following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
Well, happy Monday, Downers. Welcome back to another great episode of the least comfortable show on the web. The System is Down, the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, and religion. My name is Dan Spots, and if you're new here, welcome to the show. Go find the person who invited you and give them a big hug from you and from me. I know, typically more offensive right off the bat. I say, #MeToo, slap on the rear and kiss on the lips. I guess I already did. I did that anyway, so this is the place where you come if you don't mind getting offended by things. The place where you come if you don't get offended by things. Anything other than people who get offended by things. That's the thing that offends me. It's people that can't just talk and be real with each other. So yes, welcome to the show. This is the place where we talk about those things, the things that are out of bounds, things that make you uncomfortable and unsettled. And today's topic is Freemasonry, which is a big one for conspiracy-minded folks such as myself, because a lot of people think that the Freemasons are running the world and they're the ones pulling the strings of all the puppets in the media and in politics and whatnot. But we've got some people who listen to the show, some friends of the show, who are Freemasons, and they were happy to come on the show and clear up some things, give their side of the story, and that's what we're all about here, is just getting the real, raw aspects of life. And if a Freemason can come on and enlighten me about ways that I might be wrong about Freemasons, ways that you might be wrong, conclusions that we jump to, so be it. Let's talk to them. Let's talk to the Freemasons. That's what we're going to do here today. We're going to get into that in just a couple of minutes, but before we do, got to remind you guys about the Downers Club. The Downers Club is our patron program through Patreon, and you can find it by going to patreon.com/The System is Down. It's what keeps the show getting bigger, better, more interesting, and more beautiful every single week for you. And you can sign up for that for as little as $5 a month. That is almost nothing a month. And in doing so, you will get a bunch of bonus audio and video content. We typically do 2, sometimes 3 episodes of the show every single week, and we get much more dark and beautifully offensive over there in the Downers Club behind the wall. So I got to give some shout-outs. That is one of the things that I offer in the Patreon, is shout-outs to members of the Downers Club. And I think it's been a while since I have given shout-outs, so I feel like there's people that I've missed. I know that there are 2 people that just joined, one that came back and one that joined, so I'll give them shout-outs. But in case there are people that I've missed over the last few weeks or so, few months, I'm going to just go ahead and read off all the names of people in the Downers Club and give everybody a shout-out all at once. And if you would like to get your own shout-out, again, patreon.com/The System is Down. But let's take a brief moment, because I think the conversation that I had with the Freemasons was a little bit shorter than some. I think we can take a minute to give shout-outs to every single person in the Downers Club, and we're going to do that right now. If you don't care, skip ahead. You have the ability, you have the power and the technology to skip forward 15 to 30 seconds and not hear these names. But thank you so much to all of these people. The two new people that joined this week are John Odermatt, who is of the Lions of Liberty podcast, and Adam Thoreau, who is a part of Good People Doing Good. That is his business that he has set up. He came back. He is the one that has returned. He is the prodigal son. So Adam, thank you so much for coming back. I love you, and I love all of you who are in the Downers Club. So here we go. Here's the list. Aaron Stute, Andrew, sorry if I mispronounce your name. I'm really good at mispronouncing names. Andrew Sichling, Austin Wilson, Brian McWilliams, Chris James, Clint Rankin, Curtis Berrialt, David White, Forrest Bazat, Howie Snowden, who is on the show today as one of our Freemasons. He is a supporter of the show. Actually, Andrew Sichling is the other one. Two Freemasons that are not only listeners to the show, they support the show. Jessica Swift, John Barnhouse, John Schweppe, Justin Zielinski, Lee Latorno, Liberty-Minded Agrarian, which is Ben Pangi, Lucas Riley, Mark Clare, Mary Rome, Nathan Titus, Nathan Sipes, Nate Tucker, Tim Brown, Trenton Campbell, Tyler Mills, and William Wells. Thank you guys all so much for being members of the Downers Club. And again, if you would like to be on that list, support the show, be a part of a nice, fun, tight-knit community of weirdos, just go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. I appreciate you all very, very much. All right, that is enough for this intro. Let's jump into this. This is my conversation with some Freemasons about Freemasonry, and it was a good conversation. It might be a little bit less sexy than you can imagine on a conspiracy show, but it's real life, so let's do it. Let's get weird. Let's get Freemasonic? Whatever. Let's get weird. My guests today are a couple dirty, rotten Freemasons. We've got Howie Snowden and Andrew Sichling. And we are, this is going to be more of a laid-back chat. We had on, we've had on a lot of people that I disagree with on certain things and people that I want to learn more about. That's kind of the whole point of the show, is just me trying to explore different areas of the world and find out about things that I don't know about. Like we've had on an occultist witch, and I did not have him on in order to bring him to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I brought him on to learn more about him and why he comes to the conclusions that he does in life and explore that area of thinking. So, Howie and Andrew, welcome to the show. Before we do too much preliminaries here, how are you guys doing?
Good. Ready to dispel some myths if that's what needs to be done.
Right on, right on.
Or I'm ready to make more myths if that's what needs to be done.
Even better, even better. Now you're speaking my language. So that soft, sultry, low voice there was Andrew for the listeners, and the beautiful, nasally Howie Snowden is also here. We're just gonna jump into it. I want to get kind of you guys' background on Freemasonry and like the history of it. How much do you guys even know about like the history of the fraternity that is Freemasonry?
I think you say, how much does any Freemason really know about the history of the fraternity?
Sure.
It's all very debatable. There's a lot of Masons that have kind of a romantic view of the history, which I think parts of it might be true, parts not. Some of, like, all we know for sure is that, goes back to this early 1700s. But then, we have people that are like, there were Masons that built the pyramids, and it goes back to all kinds of things. People that tie the Knights Templars in, which I think there actually might be something to that argument a bit. But it's something that I don't think, like, no Masons actually know for sure what our full history is. But I don't know if there's a point you want to start at. Or...
Sure. I like I said, I don't know. This is pretty laid back. I don't know as much as I should about a thing that people that are in my conspiracy sphere like to yell at. And I know a lot of conspiracy guys like to yell about the Freemasons and talk about the Freemasons, but they never seem to want to talk to the Freemasons and try and figure out if any of their crazy, gigantic theories are in fact true or not. But so let's just start with you guys in particular. Like, what got Andrew? We'll jump to you. Like, what got you into Freemasonry? And just give me a little bit of your backstory there.
Okay, so essentially, when I came home for good from my 7-year stint in the Marines, you just kind of. You're at a loss. A lot of guys go through that. We all know that. So I knew a guy who was going through it, and we talked about it, and really it just kind of happened because it was always something that had interested me, but I just with everything else, it's like, and how you probably have talked to numerous people about it, it's like you just don't know how to go about it. And once you realize how simple it is, you kind of feel like a fool, but it is what it is. So, and that's just kind of what happened. And then I went through the first 3 degrees, and then I went on to the York Rite. So did the whole Knight Templar part of it. And yeah, that's my little personal history there on that.
Yeah, so with me, my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather were all Masons, and they had all passed away. So when I got out of the Army, actually when I was younger, I told my dad I wanted to join. But he was like, "You're too busy. Wait till you're older." I don't think he joined till he was like 30 or so. But I wanted to be a part of something that they were. I didn't know a whole lot about it or how you even became one. So the thing is, we don't recruit. No one's ever gonna be like, "Hey, Dan, you should be a Freemason." Like, you actually have to ask a Freemason, like, say, "Hey, I'd like to join." And
really, I've heard the opposite, that you have to be asked by a Freemason. That's not true?
No,
we are not allowed to ask anyone because it has
to be one. Ask one.
Okay.
Right, and then so the lodge will vote on you. It's got to be unanimous, but you're only allowed to vote against someone for like a moral reason, like, this guy's sleeping with other people's wives, or, like, it can't be like, I don't really like this dude. It has to be like, pretty much any good man can be a Mason if they ask.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And so you guys got into it. Howie, Andrew said a little bit about like his levels and stuff that he's gone through. You want to give a little bit of your background? Sure.
And of course, like, I can only talk about what I know and what I've seen. I'm not like a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason or anything. Not that I think that's a big deal, but I've been a Mason for about 8 years. I'm the past master of Herndon Lodge 264. I was the high priest of Loudon Royal Arch chapter. I'm a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason. I'm in like 10 other Masonic groups. Definitely involved in way more than I should be. But.
Sure. So you both have said I didn't really know what a Freemason was, and I think that's kind of the issue, and there's a lot of secrecy around it, and that's why people assume the worst about it. What is a Freemason? What exactly are you guys?
So, I mean, bottom line, it's a fraternity. It's the oldest fraternity, and it's a little different than your Greek fraternity in college, a lot different. Mm-hmm. I was in one of those. That's where I met Mark and the other guys from Lions of Liberty. But it has a lot of ritual to it that uses like allegories to teach moral lessons. The purpose is it's like a brotherhood that wants to make good men better, is what they say. The Masons believe in like the fathership of God and the brotherhood of man, and tries to teach you how to live. And not in a religious sense. Like, that's one thing they're adamant about. Like, Freemasonry is not a religion. They don't offer salvation or anything. They encourage you to be involved in whatever your religion is. But there are, spiritual kind of religious aspects to it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to kind of expand more about just the historical story of the Freemasons and how do we end up with it today. Sure. So it all goes back to the workforce for King Solomon's Temple, and there was apprentices, there was fellow crafts, and then there was like the guys who like said, "Hey, this work is good," so it and then because of the just the life at the time, and a lot of our like ritual is like based off of like that that hour breakup, like, hey, it's low 12, so it's time for excuse me, it's time for refreshment and all that, it's weird stuff like that. So but then essentially what ended up happening was, after the temple was built, Masons were able to, a Freemason could go anywhere and work on his own without having like essentially a union rep with him. Mm-hmm. I mean, is that a good way to explain it, Howie, in layman's terms?
Yeah, and that brings up something too. So, back in these days, these stonemasons, they're allowed to travel around and work, whereas, a lot of other people were serfs in that. But to prove that they were actual Masons, they'd have certain like signs and grips or words, like we do today. And there's really not a lot that's secret about Freemasonry, but things like that's going to allow someone to like pass themselves off as a Mason, definitely is.
That's how you can always call those guys out.
Yeah, I mean, certain things, like we can talk about some of our symbols. There's a story like Andrew's talking about, but probably like the exact wording of our ritual, things like that, that shouldn't be shared. The one thing that drives me nuts is there's a lot of Masons that think you can't talk about anything, even though you totally can. And there's the Grand Lodge of England actually just put out a great documentary. It's on Netflix. I've only gotten partway through it. Of course, things are a little bit different over there, but it's cool to see. And I'm glad that they're doing that and making it not a secret so people don't think they're like devil worshippers or whatever.
Yeah. What is kind of the reason for the secrecy? Even the stuff that you guys don't know, like what is the purpose for having the different levels and the things that you are allowed to know and you're not allowed to know? I mean, you probably don't know because you're not at that level.
So I would say a lot of it is just through just ignorance. Like people just don't know. Like it just wasn't taught to them or whatever. There's that. But then, everyone wants to have their own little secret handshake, right? So that's where I would say a lot of the secrecy comes in. And how Howie brought it up earlier on voting a new one into the lodge, we don't want just anybody around. We want somebody who's committed. We want somebody who, and you know what, sometimes like you have to take a leave of absence, but it's just like somebody who's actually going to respect just the overall system, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And even, so we have these allegories and stories that teach like moral lessons. And I should have said this in the very beginning. Disclaimer: these are all my opinions. This doesn't represent any Grand Lodge statement or
same.
But
my opinions do represent the Grand Lodge. Just saying. I'm just kidding.
Some people like me believe that there's a lot of these symbols are older than this fraternity, and that might have like deeper, more esoteric meanings to them.
Sure.
I found that I feel like the whole baby boomer generation didn't care as much about that aspect of Freemasonry, or more about just the fraternal, let's get together, let's do some charitable stuff. But I find a lot of the younger people coming in now are interested in that, but it's, a lot of Masons aren't going to know anything about it. But there are some people that do, books, people, do research, right? There's been a lot of organizations to do Masonic research, or I know like a paper I wrote recently had to do with the hexagram and how we place our square on compasses, like in that symbol, and what did that mean in like other religions and philosophies and things like that. So there is like that deeper level to it, in my opinion. Other people will be like, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It's just, simple things that we say.
Sure. So where do you guys stand on some of the more esoteric stuff? Like, are you guys religious people yourselves?
I am, though. All right. So I say I'm Catholic. It's more culturally, if Catholicism was like a circle and the center is like you believe everything, I'm like on the edge of the ring about to get kicked out, but I'm still kind of in the club.
Sure.
But yeah, I haven't seen, so the Catholic Church is against Freemasonry.
How does that work?
So it used to be against canon law, like you kicked out of the church if you became a Mason. They removed that in the 70s. But then it was Pope Benedict. Before he was Pope, he was the head of, I'm trying to think what it's called. It used to be called the Inquisition. They don't call it that anymore. It's like whatever they now call what was the Inquisition. He wrote this paper saying, Catholics still shouldn't be Freemasons for, XYZ reasons, and got Pope John Paul to sign off on it. In my opinion,
what were those XYZ reasons?
Well, that's their opinions. They didn't change canon law. Canon law still does not say anything about it.
Sure.
So we're going by church law. I'm good. I understand the Pope doesn't agree with my decision, but whatever.
Right. So what were the reasonings for the Catholic Church being opposed to Freemasonry?
Some of the reasons that they give are, they say we promote like a naturalistic religion. I think we try to be like a non-sectarian, we welcome people of different faiths, and they're trying to say, they're like, well, no, you can't do that. You have to say it's Jesus Christ and only Jesus Christ.
Sure.
Where, no other organization would be put to that standard today.
Right. Right.
because I mean these have been things that have been going on for hundreds of years. I was actually very surprised that Pope Francis hasn't changed this. I've had priests tell me personally they didn't think there's any problem with it, and
Sure.
I've never seen anything immoral done in any lodge, or anything that would conflict with the Christian faith. Like, actually, so we like my area where I live is pretty diverse. We have Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, but even though we have all these religions, it's pretty clear that our ritual is based on Judeo-Christian.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
it's practically a Christian thing, but trying to not be. Though there are some groups like Andrew mentioned, we're both members of the Knights Templar, which is only for Christian Masons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that was something that Dr. Snellbum, whatever his name was.
Schneblin.
Yeah, him. He was right. That is the Christian side of Freemasonry, and I'm not even going to attempt to talk about the Scottish Rite because I just don't care. Because all it really seems about with the Scottish Rite is everyone wants to do it to say that, oh, I'm a 32nd degree Mason. It's like, all right, cool, bro, good for you. Like, oh, you got your honorary title of 33rd. Chill out now, would you?
It drives me nuts too, because we're trying to get people to join our Royal Arch chapter lab. It was like everyone wants to go join the Scottish Rite.
Well, the Scottish Rite's more fun.
I guess what it is, you get your 32 degrees, so that's 4th through 32nd. If it's like, if you do it like we do it here in Virginia, that's 2 Saturdays. Like one Saturday you get 4th through 14th, and the next Saturday you get 15th through 32nd.
Oh, it's all day.
It's a fire
baby.
hose of information that nobody can possibly understand at all or get anything out of.
No.
And so, like 32nd degree Mason, it means nothing.
Sure.
If you do a lot for the fraternity, you get an honorary 33rd degree, which, it's an honor, really. It's not like it doesn't make you higher or anything. Like once you're a Master Mason 3rd degree, everybody's equal. These other side bodies and things are just additional things.
And that's a huge misconception. It's like there's only officially, and I use officially loosely, there's only 3 degrees. Everything else is honorary and just kind of for, I don't want to use the term fun, but it just kind of helps bridge some of the gaps in the stories and the lectures you get during your 3 degrees in the Blue Lodge. Especially when you go through Royal Arch, which is like that first few degrees when you're going to become a Knight Templar. Of it that I was like, oh, so that's what happened there. Okay, that makes sense now. And unfortunately, I didn't see anyone's, and Howie, this is going to be a joke for you, but I didn't see anyone's face get burned off when we opened up the Ark. Because there is a lot of that in those. Essentially, it's a play that you interact in without interacting in it, if that makes sense.
Nope.
Because like you have no. All right, so like you have to like walk around the lodge floor and everything, and like you're getting shown all this stuff, and it's teaching you all this. So like you're in the play, but you have no lines. You're just there. Does it, now does that make more sense?
Sure,
You're like the fly on the wall.
Yeah, gotcha. So, I mean, what is the reason for all these strange rituals that, it's hard from the outside looking in to not be like, yeah, that's really bizarre and fucked up. And I mean, you have to be able to see that people would look at that and be like, what the hell are you guys? I mean, not that much different than Catholicism either, but
really, there's a lot of similarities between the two of them.
Sure.
I would say. I mean, I'm not Catholic. I dated a Catholic once, so I went to a lot of mass because of that. But I don't know. I just feel like everyone has a ceremony for everything when it's official, and because nobody can really pull up on YouTube what ours are, people just kind of like to fill in their own blanks.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard the Mormons stole a lot of our ritual.
Oh, 100% they did.
Nice.
No, and that was that one thing what Doc Bill was talking about on that episode. In fact, from what I've been told by Mormons is that temple that they built in Nauvoo when a while ago, but the new one, he even did he took like how it was structured with like how the stairs worked and everything was off of the Masonic lectures. But you know, Joseph Smith was a prophet. Dum 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 dum.
So Dan, I guess like what do I get out of it? I would say a couple things. Like first is just the fraternalism, like friends with a lot of great guys. Like even me and my wife joined like a Masonic motorcycle riding association.
Oh, you're a widow son?
Yep.
Cool.
Which is awesome. I'm glad she wanted to do that and not like Eastern Star or something. So that's cool. But also, like I was saying, I'm into the esoteric side of things. Like I think a lot of the symbolism has to do with Hermeticism or like alchemy, things that I think some of the 17th century like intellectuals might have been a little bit curious about, but you know, couldn't be too open with it. And you know, I kind of look at some of the deeper meanings behind some of the things as like a way to improve your life. Like I see it as kind of trying to mesh your spiritual and physical natures, kind of like the same as the goal of yoga, or the same as somebody that's meditating, or like the Christian mystics would, through prayer, like just kind of like I don't know. A lot of Masons will not agree with me on any of this.
Sure.
To me.
Sure. Absolutely. Now with the you talked about the different levels of Freemasonry. What do those entail, and how do you climb the ladder? You said that there's only 3 levels in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Officially.
Okay.
Right. And like what is actual Masonry? Well, if not an independent body, but actual Masonry, your craft lodge, your Blue Lodge Masonry, it's where you're initiated as an entered apprentice. That's when you become a Mason, and then you're given a catechism coach, and you kind of have to learn the ritual. It's kind of a question and answer thing, kind of going over what you went through, what did it mean, that kind of thing. It's a lot to learn, and it's not in the way we speak now, and at least in Virginia, it's not written down either. But after you,
oh really?
Yeah. So you gotta.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
You guys do long form?
We do. They allow short form. I try to discourage it, but.
Oh no, I couldn't have done long form especially for that second proving. Oh no, heck no.
So, yes. So then they'll get tested on their proficiency. And if they learn their stuff, then they'll go through the second degree fellowcraft, and then same thing after that. And then you get your Master Mason degree when you're really a full Mason then. And that
forever.
For me, that took maybe like 6 months. Could take people longer, shorter.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. So, well, let's talk about initiation. What are you allowed to say about your initiation? Because there's all sorts of, things floating around the internet about all these horrifying things you have to do to be initiated into the fraternity. But what can you tell me about that?
Mind if I start that one off, Howie?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right. So mine was pretty simple. It was, hey, show up here at this time. So you show up, and they're like, all right, put this uniform on. And really, it's just like a very simple cloth uniform. Like, it's nothing major, because they just, you got to keep it respectable. So it's not like you're not walking around in like flip flops or anything. Well, shorts and a t-shirt kind of deal.
Sure.
And then really you go through it, the ceremony, and that's it. Like we're not
I feel like you skipped
the
a few steps there. You go through the ceremony, the end.
Well, I mean, but that is.
So you walk around. You're asked some questions. You're taught a few lessons. You take an obligation to keep these things secret.
Sure.
What I'm saying is, it's very simple. We're not eating goats or babies or anything crazy.
Haven't gone through like a pretty crazy college fraternity initiation type thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, but it was nothing that I wouldn't like. The most conservative of churchmen would have no problem with it.
Absolutely.
I remember one thing that the Catholic Church had a problem with was like swearing oaths or something.
Yeah.
But I know, at least here in Virginia, if you don't want to, you could just like, I affirm that or whatever instead. I've never seen anyone opt to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when you're in court, whatever you swear in the Bible to tell the truth, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bigger deal in the past to some people.
Well, there's a whole lot of things like you're not supposed to swear because like you're whatever. Either way, it's simple. It's not. We're not. It just really bothered me like when I was listening to that podcast earlier today with old Doc Bill there. It was just like, where is he getting half of this stuff? Like when he said that. It's like when we walk into those lodges, we're like living next door to the Fukushima like nuclear reactor. I was like, what? Like,
Howie,
bro,
did you
calm
happen
down.
to listen to that episode?
I did. It was a while ago. I forget what he said.
Yeah, for the listeners, I think it was like episode 84 or 85 with Dr. Bill Schneblin. He claims to have been a Freemasonic vampire, wizard, warlock, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about when we say Dr. Bill. So just so people know, if you want to go check that out.
He seemed a little deluded on a few things.
That's what the show's all about.
Maybe he's read certain things. Like there was this thing called the Taxil hoax in the past where this guy, Leo Taxil, put out all this like just nonsense propaganda saying that we were like devil worshippers and stuff like that, which has been debunked. Proven false.
Yeah, no, there's no devil worshiping at all in Masonry. In fact, it's supposed to be the exact opposite of that.
So how does that tie in? I know that you said that there's like some Christian elements, whether it's expressly said or not, but like how does the religious stuff actually work into it?
Well, we have a Holy Bible on the altar to start with.
Yeah.
In Christian countries, usually St. John the Baptist, St. John the Evangelist are like the patron saints of Masonry. We celebrate their saints' days.
Andrew just keeps getting up and walking away. Just if the listeners are hearing some noise in the background, that's just...
And just, I mean, even I'm sure a lot of our ritual comes from things in the Bible, probably loosely.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm probably not as... You might notice Catholics usually aren't the biggest biblical scholars.
You don't say.
That's fine.
It really, when you think, because it all just goes back to building the temple, King Solomon's temple to God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that that's satanic, then get off the booger sugar.
Well, do either of you think that there's any possibility that what the conspiracy folk are saying could be true, and you are just not at a certain level where you can, see what's actually going on? You can see the nefariousness of the Freemasons or whatever.
I don't think so.
100%. I don't think it's true.
Because I know those people, and I see the way our organizations run or fail to run all the time, and they're definitely not running the world. That's for sure. And something you might be aware of, like in America, we have 50 Grand Lodges. There's a Grand Lodge for each state. In the beginning, they were going to have like a Grand Lodge of America. I think they wanted like George Washington to be the head of it, but they're like, nope, all 50 states will do their own thing. So like the Grand Master of Virginia, that's the top of the line for me. There's nobody higher that we report to, and like different states are going to do things differently. We may not always agree. States or Grand Lodges from like other countries that we do agree and approve of what they're doing, we recognize them. We could visit their lodges. They could visit ours. If there's people doing some like crazy shit that we don't think should be going on, we won't recognize them. You're not allowed to have any kind of Masonic relationship with them.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 different Grand Lodges. There's nothing like each of the 50 states, nothing's above them controlling them.
So you don't believe in a shadow government either. Sorry, we can't be friends. But
isn't that just the government?
Yes, but I mean, so I would assume that you don't put any stock into that. Otherwise, you wouldn't still be Freemasons. But so I don't know. Like,
I think Ford was the last Mason president too. That's a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Bill
Yeah.
Clinton was in like the boys group, the DMLA, but he never actually became a Mason.
Yeah. Now, do you guys know of any like ties between the Freemasons and some of the other like secret society groups or whatever, like the Shriners and Skull and Bones, Illuminati,
Shriners,
stuff like
Shriners are Masons.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to be a Mason Shriner.
that? Okay.
Skull and Bones.
Shriners
Sorry.
Shriners is like explicitly for having fun, like especially in a lot of America, Virginia at least, you're not allowed to have alcohol in lodges. So they made the Shriners just to have like a place to go and drink and have fun. Then like a while later, like we should do something else. You're like, hey, let's help kids. So they made these Shriners hospitals for children where it's for like orthopedics, burn units, things like that. They don't charge the kids anything. I think Shriners raise like millions of dollars a day in charity. But yeah, they have a good time and do a lot of good for kids.
Gotcha.
Skull and Bones has nothing to do with Masonry. That's some weird Yale college club, I think. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sure. I'll believe you. Not really.
One thing I read that I thought was interesting, though, the Scottish Rite donated some money, I think, to like a psychedelic research center.
Uh-huh.
That's this is a conspiracy that I don't know if in the past this might have, like, there's some Masons that are of the opinion that in the past there might have been like psychedelic use in certain rituals. I don't know if that's true. Probably not in mainstream Masonry, but there might have been side orders. But one thing I always thought was interesting, one of our symbols is a sprig of acacia, and that's one of the plants that has the most DMT in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's up, Joe Rogan?
So I'm like, maybe it doesn't mean that to Masons, but to me it does. I just thought it was interesting that, well, I mean, it's any kind of research is good, but that they did support some like medical research into psychedelics, which is proving very well now. A lot of things you're going to see legalized soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Medicinally, not.
Hey, Dan Smots here. I'm taking a second to interrupt myself talking to talk about myself because, you know, I don't get paid a penny for the hours and hours that I put into creating this show for you guys in your greedy little ears, and I've got a family to feed. To make that happen, I run my own media business called Goulash Media. If you have a need in anything from video production to graphic design to audio production and beyond, you can get it all for a painfully fair price at Goulash Media. In video, I do weddings, music videos, commercials, pageants, plays, etc., etc., etc. For design, I do photo editing, album art, logos, branding, business cards, merchandise, you name it. For audio, I do engineering, production, editing, jingles, and, well, podcasts. So if you've got a media need of any kind, or if you'd just like to give a little something back and help keep my children fed, check out all the endless options at my website, goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where we cater to the little guy with the big vision. Okay. So looking back into the history of the fraternity and all that, and not really having a full grasp on where it comes from and that type of thing, unless I'm misunderstanding you, but do you think there's any possibility that some of the theories of, you know, Knights Templar, the Illuminati, all these different groups are all tied together and that type of thing?
I could tell you my theory, and I could talk about the Illuminati separately because they don't have anything to do with my theory.
Okay.
But so I think there were stonemason guilds, you know, throughout the Middle Ages. At the time when the Knights Templar were all rounded up and, you know, some of them burned at the stake and imprisoned and whatnot, it was all supposed to happen on the same exact day. This did not happen in England for like 3 months or so. I think there is a good chance that some of the Templars might have blended in with the local population, the stonemason guilds, and, you know, might have, you know, carried on, became members, did whatever. But also, I think the bulk was during like the Enlightenment time when we started to have not just operative stonemasons actually built stuff, but we allowed speculative masons to join, that there were some more like aristocratic or like intelligent people that were interested in using these as symbols to kind of talk about different ideas. And to me, that's where it came from. The Illuminati, so Adam Weishaupt created it. They pretty much hijacked Masonic Lodge and totally changed what they did. They were, what's the word for it? When we when it's like stamped out and not allowed to happen.
Clandestine.
It was clandestine, but it was no more. It hasn't existed for a long time.
Yeah, no, we were just like, hey, no, you're done. Bye.
What they were doing was not what we would call regular or.
It just wasn't good.
It wasn't good. It was
like what?
And you can buy, there's a book that has all their rituals and correspondences. It's been available for a long time, but because no one translated to English in America, we're like, oh, the Illuminati, what did they do? If only someone would translate the rituals to English for us, we could read them.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like some really petty, full of themselves people that were delusional. I don't know.
Yeah, essentially they had more money than they knew what to do with, and they thought money bought power.
Yeah.
And they ate babies.
So that's
I don't know. I don't
He said
know
it.
if really
He said
ate
it, not me.
babies.
So the
I don't know.
the Bavarian Illuminati is no more. If what conspiracy theorists talk about as Illuminati, it could be something different altogether,
Right.
not the historical Illuminati, but something that functions like that. I don't know.
Looking at you,
I don't think it's a Masonic thing. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a Beyonce thing. I don't know.
Yeah, there is some confusion there, and I've brought it up to a friend of mine was like interested in Freemasonry, and I was talking about the Illuminati historically, not the Illuminati shadow run the world everything right now, like conspiracy people seem to believe. You keep flashing that hand sign, and it makes me think that you're hiding something. But yeah. I mean, a lot of people refuse to even believe that it was a historical thing ever. Like there was anybody who went by that name. Like, no, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you believe that anybody ever in the history of mankind were a group called the Illuminati. So it's interesting
Where
to.
would it have come from then?
Yeah.
Right.
Some
It was
crackpot
definitely a
sitting
thing.
in his mom's basement going, I'm going to start this rumor about this group called the Illuminati. Like,
They
who'd
were
have thought of
they were never running anything or had any power.
No,
sure.
at
no.
all. But I do think, a lot of our founders are Freemasons, and I do think America was based on Masonic principles, those like Enlightenment era principles,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm happy about. I
100%.
kind of like the way things worked out.
Gotcha. Yeah, and now some of the stuff that I've looked into, some supposed former Freemason, as there are many people who claim to be that in the conspiracy realm, but he was talking about like his initiation, all this stuff, and being blindfolded, and they had to go meet his wife or his significant other first to make sure that she was on board with it and give her this rundown. Is any of that?
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
So like when here, like if you put in a petition, we're gonna have an investigative committee and come to your house and meet with you, and we definitely want the wife to be there to talk to her just to make sure she understands the time commitment and
Sure.
Yeah, why are you not
So-
home
Right.
helping me with this child?
She's going to be supportive of her. We want to make sure they understand that. Are going to be supportive of their husband's decision. If the wife's not going to let him come out,
Sure. Well, what?
especially when, yeah.
Yeah. So, what is like that time commitment? Like, what do you guys do exactly? What does that entail, and how much time do you guys spend?
Well, just like with any other group, you'll meet once or twice a month, and then when you have new people coming in, you got to put on that the ceremonies, the degrees. So, there's a lot of practice that goes into that. And then, and then there's the proving up and then this and then that, it's just like with any other group. Like if you were to get involved with Rotary or something, it's, there's just stuff to do.
Yeah. When you initially join and you have to learn your catechism and, prove your proficiency in that takes a lot of time. At least for me, since our stuff wasn't written down, I had to meet with a dude like 2 to 3 times a week for like an hour and a half each time.
That sucks.
But after I did that for like 6 months, I went through it. Then it's as much time as I want to put into it. You get more, as much as you put into it, that's what you're gonna get out of it. So I'm pretty active, but people could just come once a month. They can come every few months. There's
Interesting. So the blood orgies are just whenever you feel like doing them. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
I joined as a single man. I mean, I wish some of that stuff is true. It's not at all. Just kidding.
Would you guys be willing
Just
to
joking.
take a polygraph during this whole interview? Just
I have to take a polygraph every 5 years for my job.
We should have done that. Just had the video spread here and then have like you guys hooked up to a polygraph just showing whether or not you're lying this whole time, so the
That would've been
conspiracy people
awesome.
can trust you or not. So, let me see. What else we got here? A lot of the conspiracy folk talk about like the 33rd degree, and uh, everybody, according to conspiracy people, have been 33rd degree Masons who have been in power ever. You know, all the presidents, everybody at NASA, everybody like Walt Disney, everybody. What do you guys know about this 33rd degree and the theories around that?
So I don't know anything about it, but I think I know where online I could look if I wanted to read about it. But I'd rather, if I ever were to receive that honor, be surprised. Because if you read all this, if you want to be a Mason, don't read all the stuff and know exactly what's going to happen the whole step of the way. It's going to ruin it. So, I mean, I doubt it's anything nefarious.
It's just an honorary title that you either donated a bunch of money to something, or you were just one of those motivators who's been a Mason for 60 something years, and you put in your time, and they were like, oh, thanks, here you go.
Yeah,
welcome to the club.
Tell you what, I mean, membership for years now has been going down in like every state. People don't seem to want to go out and join things or be like a part of things anymore.
Yeah. Just check out my Patreon.
with things like this getting smaller, if you go out and are active and do things and help out, you're gonna like get these honors and things and be in positions. It was probably a lot harder in the days when everybody wanted to do it.
Yeah, when everyone was gunning for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
so do you guys can you guys vow on an oath that if you become a 33rd degree Mason, you'll come back on the show and tell me all about it?
I mean, I have absolutely no desire to go through the Scottish Rite right now, so
Sure.
I can't really say anything.
I would give you like a yes or no. Like, was everything kosher? Yep, it was good.
It was good. Yep.
No, man, I was wrong.
Don't ask me any other questions. All right. Do you guys know anybody who supposedly is at that level in Masonry?
Oh yeah, I know.
I know like 100 people.
Oh yeah.
Really? And
it seems like every time I go to some Masonic function, there's at least 2 of them.
Okay. Interesting. So,
In fact,
oh, go ahead.
you're out of Alito, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Most of the guys out of the Alito Lodge are 33rd
All right.
because they've been around forever. So it's not like it's this. I guess what I'm getting at, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like this super secret like group. It's just people become 33rd, and it's not this. You have the direct phone line to Satan or whatever that people make it out to be.
Sure.
Like the way it works here in Virginia, after your 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, I think there's a period like after 4 years, if you've done a lot either for Masonry or the community, you can get what's called the KCCH. I think it's Knight Commander, the Court of Honor Award. And then 4 years after that, if you've continued to do a lot for Masonry or the community, then you'll get the 33rd. So they pick a bunch of people every year to give it to. So obviously all the people that already have it are out. But I told you not a lot of new people are joining. So
Sure.
if you're doing stuff, you're just eventually going to get it. It's just
Gotcha.
for me, our Scottish Rite Valley's in Alexandria, and they have their meetings on Friday nights, and traffic is ridiculous to try to get there on Friday nights. So I go twice a year to help out when they do the degrees for the candidates, but I don't usually go to the monthly meetings. Maybe when I'm older, I will, when I have more free time.
Yeah. Gotcha. Now, I had another point to make, and it's not coming to me, so we'll all sit here in silence.
About the what was it? The Morgan affair?
The what?
Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
That was back when early in America, where there was this big Masonic scandal, which I don't know the truth about or not. This guy, Morgan, supposedly was a Mason and was going to expose all the secrets. And then he went missing, and there was no evidence or anything, but the judge decided the Masons were responsible for it. And there was a lot of anti-Masonic backlash.
Oh, there was the anti-Freemason party during Lincoln's presidential run and all that.
First third party.
Yep.
Has there been anything that you guys have encountered, whether it be like in the rituals or the history or anything? Has there been anything that you've come across that's like made you uncomfortable or think that there might be something you're missing?
No, not at all.
Physically, there was some when you're walking around that can suck, especially when your conductor is like a 300-pound 80-year-old man who hasn't bathed in a while. So that's pretty uncomfortable. But I mean, there's no fundamental things that ever made me go, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if anything, when I went through the Knight Templar degree, that was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
So,
the Order of the Temple is the most impressive degree I've ever seen.
That is
the organization.
the coolest degree ever. That is so cool. In fact, I have to show up to our inspection. So essentially, we're going to be doing that one here in 2 weeks down in Monmouth. Yay! Just found out about it today.
So what does this all mean? Like you say the Knights Templar is cool. What's cool? What's cool about it?
They're swords, man.
So one thing that we mentioned, it is a Christian order. You have to like promise if there's ever like a religious war that you're going to support Christianity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's so let's get back to like that whole skull and crossbone thing, right?
Sure.
And all of that, and like that, it's not. You'll see that a lot, especially in the Order of the Temple part of it. It's not supposed to be evil. In fact, it's used to symbolize and remind you of your own mortality. It's not like it's not sacrificial or anything, but it's just like, hey, you're mortal. You will die at some point.
Yeah. The Knights Templar used to have these cool skull and crossbone aprons, but they got rid of them a long time ago because people thought it looked bad. But I'm so mad. If I'm ever someday like the Grand Commander Knights Templar, I'm bringing them back because they're awesome.
Yeah, right.
And again, it's a memento mori. It's a reminder of your mortality. A lot of Masonry has to do with reminding you you're gonna die.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another issue that conspiracy people often bring up is a lot of the symbolism that goes on in like mainstream media and stuff like that, like the skull and crossbones or the checkerboard tile floors, the pillars, stuff like that. Do you guys put any stock into the fact that you do see that, like if you're looking for it or if you are thinking about it, you see that all over in our pop media culture? Is that just what is that? What is that?
I think there's a lot of confirmation bias with that because it's like, if you are always looking for one particular thing, you're always going to find it.
Sure.
In everything.
I bet there's a lot of celebrities that want to use it just to like be cool or something too, or because of the conspiracy theories and the.
Sure.
And I think with a lot of other Masons, we do it for each other just to be a little. It's a fun little game, right, Howie? Like. We'll put little things and logos just for kicks and grins. Really, that's what it comes down to.
And symbols have meanings too, like the checkerboards, like your life is checkered with good and bad.
Okay.
And the pillars, just that's a whole thing about just how they made like certain pillars back in the day for the temple. And what they were made out of, and I mean, but when you just look at everything historically, there's pillars for everything. So it's like, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, get into some of the other symbols and like the meaning behind them, because it could be confirmation bias seeing this stuff all over the place, but I feel like even the people who are saying that's that, they don't know why that is even a Freemasonic symbol. So.
Mm-hmm.
So there are what we would call irregular or clandestine lodges out there that we don't consider like actual Masonry. People could just start up anything and call themselves Masons and do whatever kind of crazy shit they want.
So like the Prince Hall lodges. Do you guys have a lot of those out in Virginia?
We actually recognize Prince Hall here.
You do? We don't.
Not every state. We recognize Virginia Prince Hall. I think maybe DC and a few other states. We don't just automatically. But we do recognize the Virginia Prince Hall Lodge here. So
for the listeners, Prince Hall Lodge is, and this is going to sound really janky, just bear with me, it's Black Masons. It's it was like all the black guys were like, hey, we're not going to join this lodge. We're going to make our own. And that's what it is. And like here in Illinois, our Grand Lodge is not officially recognized, or at least that's what I understand, is that we don't officially recognize the Prince Hall Lodge, which I don't know. I think that kind of defeats, and I think a lot of it's because the whole point of Masonry is that everyone's equal no matter what. We judge you on your character, not by the way you look. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, but I think that's how it is now. It might not have been when Prince Hall started. I mean,
but that's just a personal thing. I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous. Like, we should just bring these together.
I agree. Yeah, if I was black, I would join a mainstream lodge, not a Prince Hall one. I've
You'd
gone
be the odd man out, probably.
I don't know.
How about this in the Quad City area? Because we are pretty white.
Yeah, my area is pretty diverse in Northern Virginia, but I've been to the Prince Hall Lodge here, and I had a great time. They do things a bit different than we do, though.
All right, let's talk more. Let's talk more symbols. Do the devil hand signs, the putting things over your eyes, all-seeing eyes, stuff like that? Is that stuff that is actually existent in like these lodges and things?
Yeah.
The all-seeing eye is just God. That's what the all-seeing eye is. It's like God sees everything, and that's what it comes to. Sorry.
I was saying the hand signs he was just doing, I do not recognize.
Yeah. This used to mean okay 2 years ago, but I guess now it means white power.
Yeah.
It can mean white power, or it can mean 666, depending on how you use it, I suppose. But we see signs everywhere. Now there's what about things like the hidden hand, or like putting your hand inside your coat, like that's been said to have some symbolism in Freemasonry?
I don't.
Not that I know of.
No?
Yeah, not that I know.
Man, you guys need to do your homework.
That used to just be a very aristocratic way of standing.
Sure. Just like
Look how much
Napoleon
money
thing.
I have.
Yeah.
That was like a Napoleon thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ask a 33rd degree Mason someday. See if they say the same thing. Just
that title means nothing.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem.
There are even very much more prestigious honors you can get in Masonry besides that. Like, people think it's the end all be all of everything, and it really isn't.
Sure.
No. It's just, congrats, you have to buy another ring. You have to spend yet more money.
Yeah. Is it so, like you say you have to spend money, like what are the different things in Freemasonry that they encourage you to put money towards? How does that work?
Dues. Lodge dues. Just like with everything else, we need money to keep the lights on. Because they're not magical or mystical as, people would think they are. So there's that, and then when you go through like Order of the Temple, there's a full like uniform you're supposed to get, and I can't afford that right now because it's not cheap.
Yeah,
and you got.
I don't like it either.
It's just it's nothing to drop $700 just on the sword alone. We're not even talking about the hat and the rest of the suit, and it's just.
What kills me, I have my great grandfather's sword, but because he was a past commander, it's got a gold hilt instead of the silver, so I can't use it.
Got him.
No hand-me-down sword, sorry.
Well, at least not until he's a commander.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, and then everyone wants to buy a ring, because that's kind of our thing. And, if you get a good one, those aren't cheap. And then a lot of guys like to go and get all the tie tacks and see, and that's another thing. Like, if we were a secret society, we are doing a very terrible job keeping it a secret.
Sure.
Because you can just you can get on Amazon, Walmart.com, and just Google. It's like Masonic regalia to wear, and you'll find it all: rings, bracelets.
Got our symbol outside our buildings. You could come to dinner if you want.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like. In fact, we had a guy at one of the lodges in the local area. How he even just became a Mason was he found the building, and we have it posted on the doors, like when they meet and what time they meet. He came during that time, knocked on the door, and said, "I want to be a Mason. How do I do this?" Like, we're doing a terrible job keeping it a secret. We
Business
have
hours
secret.
for the secret society. They got a little
Yeah,
neon open sign.
So the only like non-negotiable about being a Mason is you can't be an atheist.
Mhm.
So
You
just
have
a
to
higher
believe
power
in
of some sort.
of higher power.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you're gonna be asked if you believe in God, and nothing further about your religious beliefs than that. If you say yes to that, then you're good.
Okay.
And God can be the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster if you if that's your God.
I wouldn't advertise that till after they vote, though.
Right.
I don't know.
We do get some quirky individuals in these lodges, I'll tell you that. But whatever your God is, it could be Zool, and that's fine.
Sure.
You could be a Satanist. In theory, you could. I don't know why you want to be around, but you could.
You'd probably be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, you'd be super disappointed.
So they would be fine with somebody who came in as a certain sect of Satanism who believes that there's a higher power and his name is Satan and Lucifer, and they worship him, and they'd be totally cool with that?
I don't
it depends on the lodge, but I'm just saying
if my lodge says
theoretically.
it's not going to fly.
I'm just saying theoretically you could.
Sure.
Theoretically, if they ask you if you believe in God and you said yes, you could theoretically get in. If that is because no one's going to ask you.
You don't have to
if you
tell us what
advertised
your
it,
God is.
You could be like, that's a moral failing. I'm voting against them.
Okay.
I know there were some issues in, I think, Florida. They didn't want to let pagans in.
Mm-hmm.
Other states are fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, again, every state's a little different.
Of course, the crazy headline would come from Florida.
Yeah,
It all comes from Florida,
like
man.
no one's going to have a problem with like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. All that's definitely fine.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So, what do you guys think the big misconception is? Like, why do you think that there is such a stigma around your group? And also, do you guys like take offense to the conspiracy people digging into this type of thing and throwing out these crazy accusations? How do you take that type of thing?
I laugh a lot.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I don't mind at all.
So, what I think a lot of it is, with us especially, is one, there is a lot of stuff out there, books, movies, whatever, that have, and once you say it, you can't take it back. So it's just really flooded the market with all that craziness. I think there's probably also a lot of, jealousy for the fact, because it's like, because if you were, let's just say you stood outside of the Alito Lodge and you watched that guy walk in, that guy walk in, that guy walk in. So super rich dude, middle class, and then darn near poor as dirt guy. You're like, why? How? What's the connection here? And then I was the one who got blackballed.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that. So people will just come up with stuff just to dismiss them and make themselves feel better. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes a game because some people just want to watch the world burn.
And I think, unfortunately, too, and I mean, I don't pretend to know everything, but I think a lot of Masons are ill-informed about things, and people might ask some questions and just be like, I can't tell you, it's a secret.
Right.
When, well, if you knew what you're talking about and you knew what you're allowed to talk about, you would be able to, and you could explain it in a way that was fine.
Sure.
But since you don't, you just say it's secret, I can't talk about it.
Trying to feel cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a secret society. Everybody knows who we are, where we are. We do have some secrets. Like every organization's got secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any?
Really?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, really, the only thing when I was going through what I was told was the only thing you can't talk about is what happens during those ceremonies, and then the grips and the password. Other than that, you can talk about all of it.
So, what happens during those ceremonies?
I can't tell you that. That's a secret.
So that's where the blood orgies happen. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing too. It's like, we know it's all over online. I don't care if you know what happens, but to me, I swore that I'm not going to tell people, so I'm not going to tell you. If you want to look and find it, knock yourself out, but you're not going to hear it from me.
Sure.
But also, if you ever want to be a Mason, be surprised and wait. Don't read it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's like Christmas. So do you guys have any final thoughts or anything that you feel like people should really know about Freemasonry that we haven't covered already?
I think if anyone's interested, I mean, this sounds stupid, but there's a book like The Complete Idiot's Guide to Freemasonry that has like a ton of basic information. If anyone is remotely thinks they might be interested, just talks a lot about the history and different organizations associated with it. And just so that people know that, no one's going to ever ask you to be a Mason. If you want to be one, you got to just go to somebody you know who is one and ask them. And yeah.
And with that, wherever you're listening to this, your state's Grand Lodge has a website that you can petition through that website. Mm-hmm. So if you don't even know who you would go to talk to about that, they'll have petitions on a website for you.
So in your state, you have to have signers on your petition, right?
Yeah, but what ends up happening with like Illinois' Grand Lodge is if someone random like through that petitions, it gets sent down to the lodge secretary, and then he's like, "Hey, go talk to this dude."
Okay, yeah. It was when I joined. I didn't know anybody. I went to the lodge website. I emailed the secretary. They said, "Hey, we're having dinner. Come on out." Found out a bunch of guys go to dinner every Friday, or not go to lunch every Friday. So I started going to those lunches. So I got to know some people and felt comfortable enough to ask them to sign my petition. So that's what I did.
Right on.
So I do have one final thought on all of it too, and it didn't get, and that was another thing. Old Doc Bill didn't even bring this up. There is the Order of the Eastern Star, which is for the ladies. Mm-hmm. And that's something that never gets talked about, is that there are in the Masonic umbrella, there is a girls' club. and I just find that hilarious that no one ever talks about that, as being part of the conspiracy of it all.
And that reminds me of something funny. So we have a Eastern Star group that meets at our lodge, and in the past, I always thought, if the Grand Master ever wanted to change the rules and let women become Masons, I don't think I'd care. We had to sit with them, and we had this meeting talking about the new curtains we were going to get for the lodge, and it was the most painful thing ever. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, they could never be Masons. This would, no.
Really, most arguments and most drama in any lodge is over stupid, petty crap like that.
I'm like, I cannot listen to these women talk about these curtains for one more minute. This is like an hour.
Well, to anybody who tuned into this episode expecting the conversation with Freemasons to be something really exciting and deeply mystical, sorry. I think it's good. I think it's good to put it out there and get the inside scoop on you guys' perception from where you are, being people who are more qualified to talk on this matter than I am, or a lot of the conspiracy guys that I talked to. So thank you guys both for coming on. Howie, do you want to plug Lions of Liberty before we kick out of here?
Yeah, I guess if anybody listening happens to also be a libertarian, check out the Lions of Liberty podcast. I'm on often, usually the Libertarians of the Living Room drinking liquor segments, lionsliberty.com. Get our podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, anything that catches podcasts. I don't know. That's it. I usually don't do plugs. So.
Legit. I'm sure Mark would be proud. Andrew, do you have anything you want to throw in there before we go?
Nah, I got nothing.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure, and I will happily have you back on again sometime in the future, man.
Absolutely.
Cool. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with the Freemasons as much as I did, and it was a good one. Nice, chill, laid back. It can't always be, sexy, enlightening, flashy, glitz and glam conspiracy stuff. But I think it's good. It's good to have that dichotomy, the showing of both sides, showing that the people who are in Freemasonry are not evil people. They're not, just like when I had the occultist witch, Lalican Scathach on a few months back. Life isn't always the black and white that you make it out to be. And I think it's important to show that. That's what we're all about here, exploring different areas and avenues of thought. Of course, me being a conspiracy-minded person, there's still a part of me that thinks, maybe maybe there's a level of Freemasonry that they're not into, that could be, a little bit shadier. I certainly don't hold it against them. I think that they're very cool and fun guys to chat with. So hope you enjoyed the conversation. I did. I certainly did. And go out and do the same. Have an open mind. Know what you believe. Know why you believe it. But talk to people about controversial topics without being a dick. That is what we're all about here. Just being a human, being humans with each other, and changing the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time. And as you do so, please share the show this week with a friend. We're building every single week. We're getting bigger and better and more beautiful, as I always say. Help out. Do your part and build this community. This is not just a show where I talk at you and, teach you things. It's not at all that, if you haven't come to realize that. This show is, it's a community. I have an idea that I think is very simple but valuable, that social media is stupid, and talking to people face-to-face, being humans with each other, and seeing different sides of arguments is important. Having uncomfortable conversations is important, so help out, do your part, and share the show, and talk to people. All right. Also, if you want to talk to me personally, you can do so. You can email me directly if you have any guests that you'd like to send my way. If you have any ideas that you would like to hear me explore on the show, you can email me directly at dan@tsidpod.com. That is my personal address. It will come straight to me, and I will respond to you. I respond to every single email as long as I can, and it's not spammy. So, what else? Also, we have a forum. If you are a weirdo who enjoys these weird conversations, go join the System is Down forum at tsidpod.com/forum, or if you are on Facebook, you can join it there by just looking up the System is Down forum. It is a closed forum, so you'll have to ask to join, but if you look like a human, I'll let you in right away. So look up the System is Down forum. It's just a place where we're having these conversations and sharing memes and getting weird together, but just being a nice, close community of strange people. It's a good time. So the System is Down forum. Also, if you're not already a member of the Patreon, the system, or the Downers Club, patreon.com/the System is Down. Howie and Andrew and I, we kind of forced some bonus. So it's a little bit casual and just chatting about whatever, but there is a nice bonus hour in there where we talk about some other conspiracy stuff, what got them into the System is Down, being Freemasons, and how they feel about, conspiracy people jumping to conclusions about Freemasons. And we talked about, we dug a little bit deeper into some of the stuff in Freemasonry, their experiences and things like that. So if you want a little bit insider baseball, go check that out at patreon.com/the System is Down. We also do other episodes of the show. In there we do Would You Rather Wednesday, where Remzo Martinez and I play a horrifying game of Would You Rather, and we do the extended anti-news after party and all sorts of things. I'm always throwing tons of fun audio at you, and there's enough. It's like Netflix. There's enough that if you're not interested in certain areas of things that I'm throwing at you, that's fine. You don't have to listen to all of it. You might want to. You might want to watch every single Netflix show, but there's enough that if you're not interested in one thing, there's going to be something else fun for you right around the corner. So patreon.com/the System is Down, and that's the last time I'm going to say it. All right. Also, the social media stuff, please leave us a review on iTunes and whatever podcast catcher platform that you use. That helps us get the word out about the show, and it is free and it takes zero time, and I appreciate you doing it because that helps people see what they're getting into in listening to the show. Also, please share the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTubes. We're on all the platforms. Gab, we're on Minds, we're on Instagram, everything. So go around, follow the show, like it, share it. I don't really need to tell you this. Wherever you are right now, don't go join new social medias because social medias are killing people. But whatever platforms you are definitely on, go share the show on those and let people know. And if you're on something on a platform that we are not on, let me know at dan@tsidpod.com. Let me know, and I will put a page up and refresh it, update it regularly. So that's it. That's it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you and love you more than I can possibly say. And it's always a pleasure bringing you guys some new avenues of thought to make your wheels turn, your brain wheels, your wheel cogs get rotating on a Monday morning, because sometimes on Monday morning it takes a bit to get those wheel cogs turning, those brain cogs. So hopefully this did that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully at the very least you got a good chuckle out of it and it entertained you. That's what we're here for. And thank you for tuning in. Love you guys. And if you tune in next week, I promise it will be just as, if not more, uncomfortable than this week. And I will bring you some more uncomfortable content for your little ear canals. Until then, ladies and gentlemen and everything in between, please do question everything and stay uncomfortable. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.